Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the Let's Get Gritty podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm so happy to see you guys on this podcast this week. I hope that everything is going well. As you know, we've had elections in the United States, so that has been done with. And so now we need to continue to move forward, stick together, and see what this new chapter brings us. With that said, I'm going to transition into some announcements. First things first, the Let's Get Gritty podcast will be featured on all of my social media platforms. It will also be featured on Spotify. So with that said, you can check out all of my social media platforms listed here. You've got Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123, and TikTok is Dr. India White. Next announcement for you guys, I would love for you to check out my website. I'm doing my best to constantly keep fresh blogs and content on there for you. It's www.india-white.com. So feel free to check it out, share the blogs with people. There's all different types of resources on there. And if you're wanting like a grit workbook or something like that, then you can get one of those too. I was looking for one of the grit workbooks. You can order it online as well. And you can also inbox me if your team's needing that. Also, I have some upcoming events I'm super excited about. We've got FAMT conference, and we also have South Carolina conference coming up. We'll be at the NABC conference. We'll also be at the Making Math Moments virtual conference. So be on the lookout there. Super excited about that. Also, there's a Grit mini workshop with the Grassroots Workshops our website. Go to that website and you will find the Grit mini workshop there. Thank you to those that actually do support the message of grit and support this work. From the bottom of my heart, thank you to the tribe, to the Grit tribe, the Grit force. Also, there's the Grit Academy where I'm offering tutoring services online with you guys. If you're needing tutoring for your students, or if you're needing, grit courses and things like that, I have that there for you. And with that said, I do want to transition into our topic. And this comes from, we are just trimming down the end of the year. I still remember opening up this year. I don't know about you guys. Like, I think this year flew by. It makes no sense. And we've had so many transitions in this year. It's been quite the ride, right? But I want to talk with you about how to stay motivated and how to activate the grit in you. Again, how to activate the grit in you. And we're going to talk about grit from the stance of my framework of grit, my definition of grit, and also honoring other experts out there that talk about grit. Now, I came to you guys and I told you that grit is having great resilience in time. I told you that, whenever you're having grit, it's all about being able to manage your resilience over a certain amount of time when you're trying to achieve a certain goal. Grit is a personal thing. Grit is all about you trying to meet goals and trying to achieve your purpose and destiny. Grit should not be overarching to where you are trying to disturb somebody else's peace and somebody else's world to be relevant or to whatever. Like, grit it's a personal thing, and that's what I love about it. It's not about being competitive with other people. I think if you're that type of person where you have to compete with others, I think that's a whole nother topic for another day. I think it's more about being competitive within so that you can fulfill your purpose and stay in your lane. That's like, like when you're driving on the interstate, you're driving on the road, you're among people in traffic. I don't know about you, but I'm not busy worried about looking in somebody else's rear view mirrors or looking in their side mirrors to see what they have going on in their lane, right? How's that going to help me drive? It's not. I'm probably going to wind up, God forbid, crashing. And the same thing is like that in life. Instead of trying to figure out, what is my neighbor doing? What do these people have going on? And that's what's going to motivate my grit. No, it should be, this is what I feel my purpose is in life. This is what I feel like I need to accomplish. Making sure the motive is something that's good, for you, for society, things like that. And then you move on with that. That's how you do that. If you're the type of person that you have to take from others, strip down others to feel relevant, to feel important, like you're doing something special, um, we need to talk. We need we need to have a conversation, because that's not how you live life. It's not how you win. I had a friend, he would say, I can't win like this. Like he was really cool. But anyway, can't win life. You can't win in life like that. You can't win by, taking from others and tearing down. Like karma is wonderful. It'll find us all one day. So with that said, I digress. I'm going to go back to why we need to work on activating the grit in ourselves so that we can be the best version of ourselves possible, overcome obstacles, and continue to fulfill our purpose no matter what. So with that said, I just want to talk about, my framework and some things I focus on in my framework when it comes down to what grit is. Like I said before, grit is great resilience in time. My framework, it focuses on the 4 pillars. You'll have the growth mindset, the self-efficacy, the resilience, time management, and then you build within those. And I can tell you that when you have that growth mindset, thank you for Dr. Carol Dweck giving her full credit. I love giving people credit to where credit is due. So she, has championed that coin. And of course, Dr. Angela Duckworth has definitely owned the term of grit, and that, what a queen, we're riding on her coattails. And so with that said, it's all about how you can expand your mindset to get rid of the word I can't. I mean, I've told the story before of one of the women that mentored me when I was a homeless youth. And she told me, because I would tell her, I can't do all this. I just can't. She was wanting me to fill out scholarships for Bill Gates, and she was wanting me to do all this college applications. And I was just exhausted. And I was like, I can't do it. And she stopped me like mid-sentence. She's like, you will never say I can't around me again. She's like, you just won't. Because there's power in words. And that's why it's so detrimental when, when I was talking about earlier, people that like post themselves up against others and they're competing and then they tear you down, especially the little silent gossipers that gossip on the side and like just petty stuff. That's not helping them, and that's not helping society. That's not helping their world. That's not helping their purpose. It's really imperative that we learn to speak positive as we are activating grit, keeping also a growth mindset, knowing how to balance the world of grit in the way grit works, right? And so, keeping that growth mindset, eliminating any kind of negativity, any kind of gossip, things like that. And then, of course, focusing on your resilience, where you're saying, okay, what obstacles do I need to overcome? Now, remember, grit can be blocked by environments that are not conducive to grit, which can be, different invisible ceilings, people disrupting a financial, flow of things for your, for your school or things like that, whatever. So grit can have limitations if the environment is not conducive. But if your environment is conducive, you should be able to go forward with grit. So talking about resilience and building that resilience, choosing to overcome no matter what, choosing to stay focused no matter how tired, finding the time to do things, right? And then, of course, believing in yourself. That's another one, especially if you have been through, different mental abuse, emotional abuse, and you've had people that talk down to you, people that are very critical, cynical, and all they do is they gloat in and finding the negative, and they are quick to give you 10 negative comments for one good comment kind of thing. And I know some of you guys are around people like that. When you're around that, or you were raised in that, or you went through some other type of abuse and some other type of traumatic situations, that can impact your self-efficacy. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with you, but I do think you should go and seek out, do I need counseling? What kind of support do I need to get you to where you could stand on your own and believe in yourself again, and to know that, you showed up worthy, you showed up chosen, you showed up competent and ready to do the task. So, and then of course, bringing it all home and honing it all in through time management, because time management is our best friend. And it's something that many of us at times, we bounce back and forth. And sometimes we're like, awesome, we've got it down. Sometimes you have time to spare. And then sometimes you're like, oh my word, how am I going to get 30 minutes of, work into 5 minutes of time, right? We've been there. But I think that as you accept the message of grit and you understand how to allocate out grit It's and how to budget grit out throughout your day that will help to give you successful results. So, with that said, I now want to talk about some things I found on the web for us guys. I was doing some digging for us, and so I want to talk about the different pillars and the different parts of growth mindset. 7 tips for moving students to a growth mindset. So this is for teachers and for students, for even family can look at this and say, oh, this is what I could do to build grit. So 7 tips for moving students to a growth mindset. So try these. So right here, try these strategies to move your students and yourself from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So going back to Dr. Dweck's work. So it says remind kids that to fail is their first attempt in learning. I like that. You guys see that? So to fail is their first attempt in learning. You are welcome to steal that from these people. I would take that and use that like tomorrow if I was in the classroom. Next, take a risk as a teacher and let your students teach you something new. Take a risk as a teacher and let your students teach you something new. And I think that's very imperative because it seems like in the culture of learning, as educators, sometimes we feel like we have to be in charge. But what I have found is the more you delegate to your students and the more gradual release you have, as you have also like established students and set them up for support and success, the more powerful your classroom learning environment will be and the more empowered student voices will become. Next, and acknowledge students' hard work. Remind them of the hard work that led to their successes rather than telling them how smart they are. So remind them of the hard work that led to their successes. So you know how that's going to happen. That has to be established over time as you receive their work, which means, yes, you're going to have to put in the time. You're going to have to grade papers. You're going to have to give back specific feedback whenever you're grading, homework assignments, quizzes, and things like that. Number 4, use words like innovation, creativity, and growth in your class, which is excellent, right? Because that all of those words are building words, building blocks, right? Leading to metacognition and higher order thinking and students, soaring beyond the charts. Next, create opportunities for students to practice a growth mindset, activities like Genius Hour, passion projects, and creative centers. I like that. Next, comment on assignments and work rather than assigning grades or scores. And then here it says, create a bulletin board, which I know many rock star teachers have done this. So you can raise your hand and say, I've done this. I know you guys are out there. I know you're doing this. And you write fixed mindset. And then next to it, you write a growth mindset statement, right? And I've done this through my grit. I have like grit posters, grit affirmation posters where, you'll be able to get different things like that too. You can reach out to me if you want that. But long story short, so instead of saying this is too hard, say, I can work hard to get this, but it may take time. That's excellent. And then it says down here, so it has all these, instead of it's good enough, ask, is this really my best work? I like it. So you're always challenging. So it says, by changing how you talk about and think about your students and your own skills and abilities, you'll likely find the learning process becomes a more fun, more rewarding experience for everyone. And I like that. And I think that we as teachers also need to ask this, if I'm not good at this, what am I missing? Or instead of, oh, I made a mistake, say, mistakes make me better and help me improve. And I like that because it kind of reminds me of my grit assessment, which you can take on my website where you measure your grit levels and find out where you are. So that was pretty cool. It talked about growth mindset. So now I want to talk about the next thing. I want to talk about, let's talk about self-efficacy. I love self-efficacy. Sorry. So I do want to talk about self-efficacy. So let's pull it up and let's see what it has to say for us. Psych Central. And it says, 1 second. This was written by Hope Gillette. And it says, how to overcome a low self-efficacy and increase belief in yourself. Okay, so she's going to talk to us about this. So she says, believing in yourself isn't always easy, but it's something you can build. Setting up Small goals, reflecting on past accomplishments, and cultivating a positive mindset can help improve self-efficacy. Let's keep going. It says, it is okay if you don't always believe in yourself. Everyone faces moments of uncertainty where they may doubt whether their knowledge and skills are up for the task ahead. Believing in yourself isn't just certainty that you'll succeed. It's confidence that you can do it, even if you might encounter challenges along the way or fail on the first attempt. What is self-efficacy? Self-efficacy is a foundational psychology concept by Albert Bandura, which he's all inside of my dissertation. Go Gators. And so it says self-efficacy can be situational, such as believing in your ability to complete a work project. And it says it could be a general mindset, whether you or where you experience confidence in your abilities under most circumstances. So under his self-efficacy theory model, so it's like a set model, it says it's dynamic and constantly evolving. And ultimately, self-efficacy is your perception and your ability to succeed. It's all about perception, not your actual capability or performance level. Look at that. So you could believe one thing, and it might not even be all the way true, but because you believe it, you can work towards that and actually surpass it. That's the power of self-efficacy. It's kind of like, it reminds me of self-efficacy and self-efficacy at work. It's like when you have a student, a young child, primary grades, learning how to ride a bike, or maybe pre-K, whatever. And, when I was teaching my children how to ride bikes, I remembered the way I spoke to them. It was like, yeah, you got this. See, you got it. This is easy. Oh my gosh, look how far you went, like in my mama voice. Y'all gotta excuse me. I love my babies. But I remember those days. And I remember, when they first learned how to ride the bike and, first they stumbled a little bit. But the thing I loved is that the kids, like when you kept telling, your children or whoever, it's like, oh, you fell. It's okay. It's okay. That's all right. You're closer. Like you never just said, oh, you fell. Oh, man. Oh, well, I guess you'll never know how to ride a bike. You know what I mean? Like, you don't talk like that to the children. So then what's different in our math class or in our other classes? Like, why can't we take that same concept and bring it into the classroom? Oh, you didn't get that right? That's all right. That's all right. Look how close you are. Look how much progress you've made. And you continue to cheer them on. You're their personal cheerleader until you see that they have met proficiency and have exceeded those expectations. And that's what self-efficacy is all about. But that's to get them to believe in themselves, you have to help initiate that dialogue and that growth mindset that's taking place. You have to help them to speak positive about their ability and help them to speak positive about the fact that they do believe in themselves and they do believe they can do it. If you catch a kid like the lady that mentored me, like when I started the show and I told you, she told me, I don't ever want to hear you say, I can't. She refused to let me be in a fixed mindset. Like it stink, right? Like she was like, no, not here. It's not happening. And I love people like that. Like it's really hard to come by people sometimes like that, like that are just always like. I have a really good friend in California, and he is amazing. Like he does this all the time. Every time we chat, he's just positive. He's a wonderful friend. We make each other laugh. Like he's just a great guy. And he's just very optimistic. He has a bright soul, and that comes from being very just high on that growth mindset part of things. And that's what we're after. And so let's keep going. Let's keep reading this. Efficacy is starting a project you're unfamiliar with, but being confident that you can figure it out in the best course of action. Believing that you'll give an accurate or clear speech. That's huge, right? On a topic you've studied extensively and practiced about. There's one thing to prepare a speech, there's another thing to deliver a speech, right? And you never know how deliverance is going to go every single time. It's different, right? and then having a general sense that you can achieve your goals with enough hard work and dedication. You just got to believe in yourself. It's time for us to believe in ourselves. So with that said, I now want to show us one. So we did growth mindset. We've done self-efficacy. I want to show us resilience. I love some resilience. So I like self-efficacy too, but I really like resilience. I wonder which part of the framework do you guys like the most? Do you like growth mindset the most, self-efficacy the most, resilience the most, time management the most? Anyway, just think about it, and you can share it with me later. So now we're going to talk about, and so this is from positivepsychology.com. I feel like, I don't know, if I should have done something in psychology. It makes you think. So resilience in education and how to foster resilient students. So this was written in 2019, resilience in education and how to foster resilient students. And so teachers who teach resilience might change the trajectory of their students' lives. It's not easy to teach resilience in the classroom, but it is crucial. Teaching resilience is beyond memorization, calculation, and other traditional learning methods. It requires interaction and engagement. Resilience is about the process of becoming, which children understand once they develop a firm belief about their place in the world. When students believe they are worth and capable of overcoming challenges, they become resilient. But how do teachers teach this belief in the classroom? That's the important part. I think it's very interesting. Let's read that again. It says, when students believe they are worthy and capable of overcoming challenges, they become resilient. But how do teachers teach that belief in the classroom? So they talked about, they wrote another article on resilience. That's cool. They've got this thing you can download. Cool. Okay. So fostering resilient leaders, as Aristotle once wrote, man is a social animal. Even today, social scientists agree that most of our beliefs, behaviors, attitudes, rituals, and ideas are shaped by a surrounding social world. Besides social norms we adopt, the stories we tell ourselves also determine, our life perspective. That's very powerful. And it says personal beliefs towards ourselves, what we view as possible, are made solid by the narratives we hold true. All right. Our identity exists at the intersection of these personal narratives and our social reality. Childhood also molds a lot of our core ideas and habits. I met someone who, this guy, he really feels like he can't take any type of constructive criticism. And if you give him constructive criticism, he feels that you are mocking him and picking on him. Does that make sense? And that is, I think, a result of something he went through traumatic wise in his past, that it has blurred his perspective, if that makes sense. Sometimes that happens to people. And like for instance, have you ever walked in the room and maybe people are laughing? Or maybe you're with someone and you walk in the room and people are laughing, and that other person thinks that they're laughing at them and they're not even the topic, right? And so then the person becomes like salty and angry, like jaded and bent out of shape, because they feel like, oh, they're talking about me, and they're not even on the program. Like, they're not even in the conversation. And that can happen if we have a messed up perspective. We have to get ourselves aligned emotionally and to a healthy place, so that we're not skewed on some of our perspectives, right? When we do that, that's going to help us to be resilient, and to be resilient for the right reasons, and to carry out our purpose in a healthy manner. So we'll keep looking at more of this. So this says every interaction and relationship has an impact on us, including dynamics between parents, close relatives, siblings, and teachers. How a student responds emotionally to a situation may be the relic of childhood experiences, right? Because of this, traumatic scenarios in childhood can have large consequences in adulthood. Now, listen, teachers, especially when you're teaching students that come from, just traumatic backgrounds, please keep that in mind. because whenever you're responding to them, sometimes you'll get responses and you're like, what in the world? Where is this coming from? And that can be the cause. Now, parenting culture and resilience, it says culture like parenting influences the formation of resilience in students. Additionally, norms and social constructs, right, define specific parameters that either maximize or minimize a child's potential for well-being, success, and happiness. And it really does have an impact, but that doesn't mean that the student can't be successful. So don't limit them, if you're like, oh, well, they didn't have a mom or dad, whatever, don't quite limit them. Still, work on, you could be the catalyst to help them. So now we're going to talk about characteristics of students' resilience. So here it says, here are 7 things here. So they have social competence and pro-social values. This has to be taught sometimes. I remember going over my mentor's house. She's from Ohio. She's ginger. She's redhead and blue-eyed. And, there were things that we, discussed in social norms that were foreign to me because I was not raised in a European descent home. So when I would meet with her, it was like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about? What is this? Or what's that terminology? Or why do I have to do that? Why do I have to sit at this table, the dinner table? Why do I have to do my, utensils this way? Like it was so much that she was teaching me. And it didn't make me any less than or anything. It was just a part of society. It was a part of a social norm, and so sometimes students are coming to us from backgrounds where those social norms are not established. Maybe the parents are just too busy to really just sit down with their child and do it. So sometimes we do have to, kind of carry that with us and support the families that way as well by helping them with social norms and things like that. So just keep that in mind, teachers, as you're interacting with students in the classroom and also culturally speaking, some students, like I know certain Asian cultures, students don't really look or teachers or adults in the eye. So a student might put their head down. Like there are certain things that you want to keep in mind when you're talking about social norms and helping students with those, different things that they're dealing with. So because there's having purpose, having an attachment to family, to school and learning, problem solving skills, having an effective coping skill, that part, and a positive self-image. Those last 2 I'm going to highlight and focus on a little bit. What can we do more as educators to help our children in those 2 areas of helping to build an effective coping style for our students? So when a student wants to throw a temper tantrum, they want to throw a desk or scream or close the door, throw a pencil, throw a stapler. I had a student throw a stapler at me and hit me right in the middle of my forehead. Go Gators. That was pretty awesome. And, but, just how do you have effective coping styles? And then how do you have a positive self-image for children, especially if the child, is maybe hearing things from outside sources that would make them feel like they're not up to par, they're not of equal value, and things like that. Like, how can you help children, with their positive self-image? Just something to think about. And then, of course, I just wanted to wrap that up because that's talking about resilience, and that gave us some really cool things that we can look into when we're trying to build resilience. But I think those last 2 really stuck with me, of having that positive self-image and then just really helping people to cope. Because if people know how to cope, then that growth mindset kicks in, and then they're able to really overcome and continue to move beyond the different hurdles that they're facing. Okay, now let's keep going. I now want to talk about time management. How can we improve our time management? So this says, time management, 10 strategies for better time management. This was written by Travis Mountain from, he's an assistant professor at University of Georgia. All right. So it says, it's talking about time. I'm going to get right to it. So he says, know how to spend your time. A time log is good, having 15-minute intervals for a week or 2. And then evaluate your results. Did you get everything done that you needed to get done? Which tasks require the most time? What time of the day were you most productive? Like, are you a morning person? Are you a night person, right? And what's the most time where is the most of your time? Where is most of your time devoted? So, there's a typo there because it says where is most of your time is devoted. Okay, go Gators. I'm not off. I thought I was like losing it. Okay, and then it says identify your most time-consuming tasks in determining whether or not you're investing your time in the most important activities that can help you to determine a course of action. That's imperative. All right, next. Set priorities, right? So experts agree that the most important tasks are not usually the most urgent tasks. However, we tend to get the urgent tasks to dominate our lives. So these guys did a study. They categorized activities into 4 quadrants in their time management matrix: urgent, not urgent, important, and then not important. While these activities are both urgent and important must be done, Covey et al. Suggests spending less time on activities that are not important is imperative to gain time for activities that are not urgent but important. I like that. And then they have this little chart. That's cool. Look. So it says urgent, submit it by 5 p.m., pick up the sick child from school, right? Not urgent, schedule a dentist appointment, reply to coworkers' email regarding a future event, plan the family reunion. Not important. Hey, I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. Hey, listen to this. It says not important. Help son with homework? Hold up. Y'all listen. That's important. I think and I think that differs maybe from household to household. But to me personally, if my children need help with homework or I need to make sure, I don't know, for me, I think that is important. Like and maybe it's because I'm an educator. I don't know. I'm going to sit down and work with my children on their homework. So I don't know. I'll agree to disagree on that one. I do think that is important. That kind of shocks me a little bit. So anyways, let's get back to it. I agree. It's not important. Make dinner for family. It's a little important to me. Delete these tasks. They're often time wasters. Responding to social media comments. Finish watching TV show, right? Online shopping. Creating a to-do list is an easy way to prioritize as well. He also says, let's keep going. Use a planning tool. So that's really cool. Record your information on the tool itself. Jotting notes elsewhere must be transferred later, and it's inefficient and wastes more time. He talks about using an app on your phone to help you with time trackers. So listen, teachers, you can use this for your students. You can use a time tracker, a time saver, task managers, and habit developers. I think this is imperative when you're trying to establish healthy time management skills for your students. And then the next one here, get organized. Disorganization leads to poor time management. Research has shown that clutter has a strong negative impact on on perceived well-being. Wow. So to improve your time management, get organized. Set up 3 boxes in the corner of a room labeled keep, give away, toss. Again, keep, give away, and toss. Sort some of those items into those boxes. Discard items in your toss box. Your giveaway box may include items you want to sell, donate, or discard. I like that. All right. They even talk about using folders, flagging, or a color-coded system to keep track of what's what. And then schedule appropriately. This is just going to keep going with all these really good things. Delegate, my favorite. It talks about delegating, getting help from others. Check how well the person is progressing periodically, right? And then provide any assistance if you need to. 7, this was huge for me as well. Stop procrastinating. People that put off tasks, they do it for a variety of reasons. But then it says, consider eating the big frog first. That's a quote. Eat the big frog first. All right. And then manage your time wasters. Do that with handheld devices. You can also have email. There's also unexpected visitors. There's in-person and virtual meetings, family obligations, avoid multitasking. Guilty of that. Stay healthy. That's huge, right? Make yourself stay healthy. And then he concludes here. They conclude there. So I think that was pretty cool. They were able to walk us through, just some different things that we can do to build time management. I thought that was really neat, especially some of those time management apps. Like, I don't know, do you guys have certain time management apps that you use? If so, let me know. Give me a shout out. So with that said, I am so thankful that I was able to talk with you guys today about activating the grit in you, and making it make sense through the lens of like my grit framework and just what we could do every day as leaders as we're trying to build grit in students and build grit in our everyday lives. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. With that said, thanks so much for joining me today on the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White. Again, this podcast will be featured on all of my main social media channels. You'll also be able to find it on Spotify. If you're wanting to follow me, I would invite you to follow me on social media. Facebook's Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White123. And TikTok is Dr. India White. My website for you guys is www.india-white.com. You could go there to communicate with me for future events. If you're wanting to book or schedule, if you're wanting something else, you just want to, talk with me. My email is also scrolling below. And then, of course, there are some upcoming events. FAMT, thank you too much to all of the FAMT leaders for this opportunity. There's also some events coming up in South Carolina. There's NAPSI. There's so many other events. So can't wait to see you guys at these events. And then, of course, check out the grassroots workshop whenever you get a chance. Thank you for your support. Thank you for supporting me and allowing me to tutor your children. I'm enjoying that as well. And with that said, guys, this has just been a fabulous show. No matter what, take grit with you. And until next time, stay gritty. See ya.